Okay, I did a little work in between the last step just to kind of give you an idea of where we're going with that you know, first drawing step on the contour lines. So you can see that I've kind of gotten started, and I'm going to do a little bit more of that for you to show you how specifically I want you to do it. But first, I wanted to show you how I got these swatches, these color swatches that you see off to the side over here. This was really, really easy to do, and it only took a few minutes. Um, what I did was anytime you're working with something really graphic-y like that, one of the things that makes it so simple and so visually appealing is that everything is reduced down to a few simple colors and a few simple values, meaning lights and darks. What I did, it's the same thing that they did in the video. I've chosen some skin tones, which would be these right in here, okay? I have selected some hair, that's these. I know it kind of is surprising because it looks a different color from that, but it's really what it is. These are actually the colors I selected for my eyes, which also was surprising because theoretically I thought I had blue eyes. And as you can see in this photograph, they actually, when you sample them out, they're actually gray. These colors I sampled out here for the lips. These are some samples from the jewelry that I'm wearing. Here's a little bit from just the clothing I have on. And as much as we like to think our teeth are pearly white, you know, that was the lightest highlight I could get off my teeth. And I'll probably cheat and put some actual white highlights in there because it is graphics. But anyhow, what I did was I just created a box like so, and it just automatically filled with whatever color I had in my foreground color. You want to make sure that you have your stroke turned off. You want to have the little no diving or no smoking sign clicked for your stroke so that all you have is a color. And the way that you sample a color is you go to your eyedropper tool. And so what I did was I started with my skin, and the first thing I looked for was one of the darker skin tones. And so I went around to an area where it looked a little bit in shadow, like say right here. And I clicked it. And if you notice what happens, the foreground color changed. And since this box that I just drew was already highlighted, it changed as well. Okay, so I'm going to get a slightly different color every time. You know, I got a little bit of a warmer dark from that one area that I sampled. You know, you have to kind of sample around a few times, but I really just want a dark, a lighter dark, you know, a couple of medium range tones, and then a highlight tone for everything. Okay, so the way to make my life easy was I just duplicated this box, and I'm just holding down my Option key, or if you're on a PC, it would be your Alt key. And I just made several boxes over here. Just kind of made a little grid. All right. And I then came back to my eyedropper tool. Let me click another, let me highlight another box. Whoops. Let me select another box first with my black arrow. And get my eyedropper tool. And then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to choose another shadow, but maybe not quite as dark of a shadow, you know. And I can kind of click around until I find something that works for me. You know, that's very different from, you know, what I have over here. Well, that looks kind of more like my mid-tone, doesn't it? Let me see if I can match this up a little bit more to one of the. That's probably more like it. That's probably more similar to this dark tone here. Whoops. Okay, and you have to click off of it. If you just go and click the next box, it's going to try to change it to the color of the next box. So you have to go to your black arrow, click an empty space somewhere, then click your next box. Then go to your eyedropper tool and choose your mid-range color, and so on and so forth. So, let's say let me do a couple more skin tones here for you. Here's a lighter skin tone, one of the lighter skin tones perhaps. And let's do one more. And let's see here. Then I'm going to go and try to find the absolute lightest highlight. I'm mostly concerned with my face. I think that some of the rest of it over here is a little blown out. So let me see if I can find a really highlighted area of my face. Let me see if I can get the lightest highlight, because it's not going to be a pure white. I might come in and add a few spots of pure white later for that graphic-y effect, but to keep things kind of looking natural for now. Okay, so maybe those, see, those would be my 5 skin tones. Isn't that interesting how the grays that I had in my eyes are so close to the to the background on my artboard? So I did the same thing with my hair, and of course I was very surprised that my hair, I sampled out of it, and while I think it had gold tones in it, pixel by pixel, the tones, actually kind of were more in a greenish brown range, or a kind of a tan range. They somehow came together and looked okay in this picture here. Let me see if I can just sample out something a little bit warmer right there. But I was a little disappointed. I thought my hair was blonder than that, but it doesn't really matter. And the other thing is that you can always go back in later and make these colors a little bit more artificial. Say, well, I do want my hair a little bit more golden or whatever. Well, I'll go in later and change that. Okay, but I did the same thing with my eyes. I just zoomed in really far, okay, and I sampled out one of the darker areas, and for the dark, right along where the eyelashes are, say, and then surprisingly to me, the only color that actually came out not gray was this one. It's still pretty grayish, but it seemed to me to have a little bit more of a green to it, but it's all just kind of a matter of what was going on when you took the photograph, what the light was like, and a lot of color just has to do with your eyes are very influenced by whatever colors are next to it. So a color can actually change colors when it's moved on top of another colored background. So anyhow, that is how I got my swatches. Okay, and I'll go ahead and stop the video here, and I'll do the contour in the next one.